It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Riding on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting boned, getting high, getting shook. As for your folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try playing a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and we're back here from 2006 in the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We welcome you to Bristol for race number 5 of 36 of this season for the Food City 500, the first of the 2 Bristol races on this calendar for some high bank concrete short track action here today as we take you right quick to the track for your starting lineup in today's race. Without further ado, looking up at the front row, it's going to be the 12 Orion Newman on pole for today's race, and Casey Kane in the 38 will join him on the front row. Looking down the rest of the order, it will be the 6 of John Wood starting in 3rd and Scott Wimmer in 4th. John Andretti will be in the 5th position and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 6th. 7th belongs to Sterling Marlin in the 22 and 8th will be Terry Labonte. 9th will be Kurt Busch and Ricky Hendrick in the 10th position. 11th belongs to Eric Norris and 12th Ron Hornaday Jr. Michael Bliss will be in 13th with Jamie McMurray in the 14th position. Jeff Gordon running in P15 and Robbie Gordon 16th. Scott Riggs in the 17th spot, and Matt Kenseth will be in 18th, Jeff Burton P19, and Bobby Labonte in 20th. 21st will be Kevin Harvick in the 20 car, and Elliott Sadler in the 22nd spot. Greg Biffle will be in 23rd, and Jack Sprague in 24th. Jimmy Johnson, last week's winner, will be in P25, and Regan Smith starts this race from 26th. Tony Stewart in 27th place, and Ricky Rudd in 28th. 29th belongs to Christian Elder, and Jeremy Mayfield will be in 30th. 31st goes to Martin Truex Jr., and his teammate, Casey Atwood, side by side with him in 32nd. Brian Vickers will be 33rd, and Mark Martin in the 34th spot. Ryan McGlynn will be in 35th, and 36th belonging to the 43 of Kyle Busch. 37th will be Todd Bodine, and Jeff Green in P38. 39th will be Carl Edwards, and 40th Hank Parker Jr., and rounding out the field, it'll be Chase Montgomery in the 68, and Jason Leffler in the 00. 42 cars here today, as always, at Bristol, as we take you to the track for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
Field of roaring V8s up and alive as always as we get ready to roll here. Bristol always a chaos bowl for sure, and today expected to be no different. Just going to be a matter of who can survive in this race here in the Food City 500. Rolling up onto the racetrack as we get set to go here from Bristol. As we mentioned, 150 laps, a lot of chaos, a lot of wrecks, a lot of drivers in the wall, trying to keep it on the racetrack and keep it in one piece. Anybody's game here today more than anywhere else, and the pace car will peel into pit road as we get ready to go. 12 and 38 on the front row, and we are green here from Bristol. Everybody keeps it under control on lap number 1, and Ryan Newman from the pole leads the first lap. John Wood will follow through into second, winner of this race last year, and John Andretti in the 21 car, he'll be in third, and the top 5 rounded out by Sterling Marlin and Kurt Busch in the 22 and 01 as we leave turn number 4 and start lap number 2 now. Just the usual sort of getting in the rhythm of things and trying to figure out where you stand in this field to start off, and trying to avoid contact, of course. Seeing some 3 wide back there with Ricky Hendrick up the middle in the 5 car. Getting very close to the 14 of Terry Labonte as he's trying to find some room up there, and does manage to get past that 14.
Lots of shuffling back here. Lots of shuffling all around the track, really, in these early laps.
Always the case. The 14 of Labonte got the wall there in turn 4, kept it off of Vickers, who dives onto the apron to avoid him. And to keep it steady. Usually just a situation of trying to find a way through traffic and find a way to stay away from other race cars. The bottom's so much better at this place, and especially if you're on the top, it can be real easy to slip up into that wall. That's usually the cause of the accidents we see at this racetrack with people going up the hill. And just really trying to find a lane. That's what it's all about at the start of this race, and it is such a struggle to keep it clean here that you really just want to be on that bottom. A lot of contact.
Oh, keeping it clean.
Kenseth in the back of the 31 very nearly got the 4 of Parker Jr. involved in that. They rubbed doors, the 31 and 4 did. Everybody just trying to sort it out and trying to keep it off of each other, but we haven't been seeing a lot of that in the back end of the field.
Never really is here at Bristol.
It can be frustrating to be that far back in the field early in the going, especially given how hard it is to make up spots at this racetrack. Still running clean for the most part, but everybody trying to keep it under wraps at the moment. The top 10 fairly calm as Ryan Newman comfortably in the lead of this race over the 6 of John Wood, who still sits in second. But he's battling.
And here
with
comes
Andretti.
John Andretti for P2.
21 car up underneath the 6 for that spot as they battle side by side for second place. This top group of 6 a long way in front of 7th. That's Eric Norris in the 51. Worth noting, the Busch race on Saturday prior to this one, a bit of a anomaly in terms of Bristol races. That race went all the way to halfway. It was lap 61 when the first caution flag came out. And it wasn't even for a crash, it was for debris. So many cars hitting the outside wall that enough of them left debris off of the corners that they had to throw the yellow for it. So half of that race went green on the Saturday Busch race, but the back end of that race had a lot more cautions. I believe they were around 6 or 7 by the time they got to the end of that race. Cautions breed cautions at this place, and it's especially apparent on the restarts. So just trying to log green flag laps and do what you can to keep it clean as long as possible. But it's an unavoidable reality at this racetrack, but that's the nature of Bristol, of course, and no stranger to it are any of these guys in this field.
Looks like John Wood is just hemorrhaging spots.
All the way down to 6th and has lost a lot of time to the rest of the top 5. A couple of Bill Davis cars in the top 5 as well. That's the 22 and 23 of Marlin and Wimmer, having themselves a good day. Dodge is looking fairly quick, holding the bottom 3 spots in the top 5 right now, as well as the 42 of Tony Stewart in the top 15, but a couple of them looking pretty quick right now.
Some credit is also owed to Eric Norris for his good start.
Absolutely.
Up in P7.
Qualified pretty well, was on the inside line, picked up a couple spots on the start. Hasn't relinquished them yet, but has some hefty company right behind him. Kane, Gordon, and Johnson, 3 of the best in this Cup field right behind him. Looking to put some pressure on the 51.
I mean, I'm sure the 51 has quite a bit of experience seeing those 3 in his mirror, but not in this context.
Definitely not. Approaching 20 laps completed right now as Ryan Newman has caught lap traffic. It's the 26 and 18, 42nd and 41st right in front of him. It's primed to go a lap down, but lap traffic difficult to deal with in Bristol. Not impossible to pass at, but still difficult. So we'll see how the 12 manages these guys. But he's got a second and a half lead at a track as small as this. Plenty of room to work with for this 12 car. He's led every lap so far from the pole.
That Pontiac GTO looking bad fast.
Absolutely, got a quick race car underneath him as he's catching up to all these guys. 26-18, Bobby Labonte having himself a tough race, entered this race second in the standings, despite only 4 races completed, of course, but a good start to the season for him, and first kind of struggle fight in this season, as here is Ryan Newman to start lapping. He gets underneath the 26 and 55, that's Jack Sprague up there in that Long John Silver's Chevrolet, excuse me, side by side with him. 55 trying to hold him off on the outside, and does.
Very impressive.
Doing what you can, especially surprising at a racetrack like this, Bristol. Very bottom heavy, but every once in a while you get that run on the outside, and it does work every now and again. It's just more difficult to run that line given how much closer you are to the wall, but nonetheless, 55 holds him off.
I mean, yeah, the difference between running the outside wall line fast and running the outside line to the wall is basically nil, so...
Definitely a tough lane to run. 21 and 22 slowly catching up to this pack of lap cars up in front, as Newman is definitely taking his time here. Unsurprising given how early it is in this race. Just trying to take it one step at a time as he's still running behind that 55. Not really losing a whole lot of time, but definitely not gaining it either. Coming up quickly on 25 laps completed. That'll be 1/6 of this race under the belt of the 12 of Ryan Newman, up in front of the 21 and 22, who are not too far behind in this top group. As of right now, Eric Norris still in front of this pack of race cars right behind him. Casey Kane lost a couple of positions. He's outside the top 10 now in 12th. Just trying to hold on at the moment. And everybody's still getting a feel of their race cars. Not a lot to talk about in this top 10 right now, as mostly everybody's single file, just trying to find a way around these lap cars, as Newman is still behind the 55 of Jack Sprague. John Andretti is caught up to the 26 of Mayfield. First lap car for him. Let's see how that situation goes.
'12 is still being mighty patient going around, trying to make something of these lap cars.
Absolutely, and given the fact that you got the buffer to the 21 car and Andretti hasn't quite shown as much speed as he has today, not quite a surprise that he's going to bide his time, and really you're just looking for opportunities that the guys around you make themselves. You see Mark Martin stuck on the outside himself there, allows Newman another car to lap. That puts the 41st place position down a lap, and seeing smoke up here, 33 of Ricky Rudd blowing up. Smoke coming out of that thing, but he gets it to pit road very quickly, looking like the racetrack's going to stay green. Not a surprise given how close he was to pit road, but that is going to be the end of Ricky Rudd's race very early, as he retires just past lap 30. Ooh, 28 of Mark Martin, the lap car, got into the wall there next to the 22 of Marlin, who ends up on the apron as a result. Kurt Busch goes around the outside, and he moves up into third. Promotes him up as a position, as well as John Wood in the chaos there, moves up into fifth past Wimmer again.
And there's a lot of, it really is, one person hits the wall, someone goes on the apron to avoid it, and they slow up, and that causes someone else to slow up, and it's just an accordion.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, 21, John Andretti's got the lead. How about this 21 car early in the running on speed alone, and he's into first. Got to look back at that move for the lead as Newman ended up on the top, and that was 3 wide with the lap cars up in front of him. Ryan McGlynn in the 07 and the 4 of Hank Parker Jr. Will be at a contact with the 07 even, but good opportunistic move by the 21 car of John Andretti, who's got first place now. And the rest of the top 5 are slowly closing in on these leaders as Kurt Busch and Sterling Marlin have cleared some of this lap traffic.
Speaking on Newman getting stuck on the top line right there, if we go back to Casey Kane, he started on the front row. He's outside the top 10, so you do not, oh, well, he's 10, but you do not want to start on the outside line, and if you do, you want to get to the bottom quick.
Absolutely. It is a bottom lane dominant racetrack, of course, and you see how many spots that Kane lost on the start. He went down to around 8th or 7th by the time he found an opening to the bottom, and he got lucky that he found an opening that fast, and even then got stuck up on the outside again when he was battling for position with the 51 car and slipped back upwards back to 10th. So it's really just a struggle for him and for pretty much everybody trying to find an opportunity, though.
Where did the 51 end up?
Finally got kicked up to the top side and has lost a ton of spots. He's now outside the top 20, just got passed by Brian Vickers for that 20th position, getting worked on by a couple of Pontiacs, the 77 and 96, getting to work on him for position. So that's just the nature of it. You want to stay on that bottom, and if you end up on the top, you're losing a lot of positions on this racetrack.
You're lucky if you're just having people pass you. Sometimes you hit the wall and you lose every position there is.
That's one thing you realize, though, as a leader, to get past lap traffic and hit the wall, maybe spin into you as well.
Absolutely. Every single mistake on this racetrack matters. 21 car of Andretti pulled a little bit of a gap to Ryan Newman, who sits in second, and he himself has a gap to third place Kurt Busch, who is just barely leading over Sterling Marlin in the 22, who runs in the fourth position. Andretti's still working on lap traffic right now, making quick work of the 26. And he'll slip on past Mayfield, who is trying to fight his hardest on the outside to keep that lead lap. But he's been fighting for a lot of this time, but unable to against the 21 and 12 as Andretti slips on past and leaves the 26 behind. Newman working on him as well as Kurt Busch in the 01, and pretty much everybody in the rest of this top 5 now slipping past that 26 car.
Looks like this race might be more of the same from the Busch race, though. Pretty long green flag run to start this.
Absolutely, and haven't seen too much of people hitting the wall, but that does get a little bit more difficult to avoid. You get later in the race, that's another thing worth talking about is fatigue. You get later on in the going, as up the racetrack goes Regan Smith and Bobby Labonte, and the 21 slips past both of them. Talk about a scary moment as Andretti very nearly avoids these guys who almost wrecked in front of him.
I mean, I'm sure NASCAR's not going to be happy at all at Regan Smith for that little stunt.
Tell you what, though, might have been justified given that the 18, Bobby Labonte cut him down the racetrack a little bit going into turn 1, and Regan Smith said, I don't like that too much. And that's another thing, his tempers at this racetrack, and Smith deals quick work of the 18 to dish him up the racetrack, and that lets Andretti slip right on through.
I'm sure neither would be happy with each other considering they're both a lap down to John Andretti now.
Absolutely, 2 and 18 both having a struggle of a race, as we mentioned. Labonte looking good in the points to start this year, 37th at the moment, having a struggle of a start to this year, or this race, I should say, not this year. Had a good start to the year, but fallen off a little bit here today. Andretti still up front, Newman still second, Kurt Busch still third. These two pretty close for that second position. Was trying to find a way around the 12, but unable to at the moment as Newman pulls away from him just a little bit. Jeremy Mayfield staying feisty, trying to fight for the lucky dog position. It's the 18, 28, and 2 up in front of him who are all lapped. Trying to make some headway towards them. But 1/3 of this race completed for the 21 of Andretti, who sits up front 50 laps down the drain here at Bristol. Is this thing going by real quick at the moment? Only about 20 minutes to complete that third of the race. But the 21.
That's what that 21 team wants to hear, is that this race is going by fast. It's going to give Newman less opportunities to pass them. It's going to give Owen less. It's just going to log laps.
Absolutely, and one thing that they would really like is to get to that pit stop under green. It would be really beneficial for this entire field if we can get to the pits under green. Pit road a little bit treacherous under caution with how many people come in at the same time in a packed pit road, and usually results
And
in
we
a couple
talked
of
about
stops.
Eric Norris. He is still stuck on the outside.
About to get
He's
lapped
not
by the
going.
21 car, and he does very quickly.
That's an incredible
Has some
shot.
damage on the right side, as a matter of fact. maybe get a look back as to when that 51 car ended up with damage. Seemed like it was on lap number 46. Ooh, got some help from the 99, who put him straight into the outside wall, seeing more tempers. So no wonder this 51 is falling backwards and doesn't have a whole lot of pace. There's a lot of damage on the right side of that race car. Doubt that suspension's doing too well either, but he's still on the racetrack despite it.
And credit to him, he's doing his best to at least stay out of the way. With a car that slow, that's really tough to do at Bristol.
Absolutely, just a struggle fight for him now, trying to stay out of everyone's way. Jeff Gordon slipping up the racetrack right next to him, but gives him enough room. Meanwhile, the race leader is still Andretti. Kurt Busch moved into second place a handful of laps ago over the 12, who has fallen backwards quite a long ways. And it's Kurt Busch in second, trying to chase down this 21 car, who's looked pretty quick this entire run, and nobody's really been able to challenge him after he took that lead back.
John Andretti has now taken the lead of leading the most laps.
Definitely getting close at the very least. Hard to say at this stage in the race. Don't quite remember when he took the lead, but he's led quite a few laps in a row now, and Kurt Busch, the only one really anywhere near him right now. Regan Smith right behind in the 2, trying to fight for his lap back at the moment. Currently has the lucky dog position at least.
I mean, that Wood Brothers team, they were struggling to even qualify for races toward the end of last season. And look at them, they're just leading this race, looking faster than everyone out here.
Absolutely. John Andretti's really brought a lot of smiles to that team that were kind of absent at the back end of last season. Said, I'm really happy to be a part of this organization. It's a storied organization, one that you want to see running well in NASCAR. And I'm more than happy to join this team and try to make something out of this 21 garage. And, well, he's definitely doing it today. One of Andretti's better tracks in his career, especially in more recent years. So he's really been doing a good job here today and just trying his best to run good laps. 60 laps completed, now 61 and 62, as a matter of fact, as the 21 still up front. Kurt Busch, no traffic between him and the 21 right now. Although he slips up the racetrack just a little bit, might open the door for the 18 here, who tried to get in front of him, couldn't do it. So Kurt Busch in a bit of a pickle now, as Andretti's loving to see that in his mirror.
Got no one in front of him and second place in a box behind. I don't think there's a better sight at Bristol for later.
Definitely not. Well over 60 laps completed. Made it a lot farther than even the Busch race on Saturday. And seeing problems, the 44 of Brian Vickers has a tire down. Question is if he'll make it back to the pit lane, and he will not. That will bring out the first caution of today's race. Yellow flag flies, and we're under caution here from Bristol as John Andretti, your race leader. 18 car of Bobby Labonte will have the lucky dog here.
I mean, I'm sure everyone takes forward here.
Oh, absolutely. After over 60 laps on these tires, it's about time for these guys to come down pit road and get fresh rubber on these things. And that will be the case here in just a moment as the 21 ready to lead the field down pit road.
Gotten a few people laps, so that should make it to where the pit road is a little bit less of an adventure for some of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Won't be an adventure at all for John Andretti, as he has a pretty big buffer to the 01.
Yeah, he's thanking his stars that Kurt Busch got caught there, because now he's going to really have a bit of an open pit lane all to himself, about 15 car lengths between him and the 01 as he takes the field down pit road here. On lap 67, coming to lap 68 as the 21 car leads the field to pit lane, and he pulls into his pit box. A great race car, and I doubt they really want to make any adjustments to that thing, given how perfect it was on that run. Four tires and fuel for that 21 of John Andretti, who will leave the pit lane here under that first position by a long, long way. Brian Vickers leaving the pit lane after being towed. Second place belongs to the 22 Sterling Marlin as he leaves his pit box.
Did Kurt get damage?
I believe he probably just got held on release. and he is still waiting to leave his pit box. Regardless, 21 car of John Andretti still comfortably leading this race. We'll take you to intermission here from Bristol with John Andretti for Wood Brothers in first place. Back from intermission after a long time period under caution. They're getting everything sorted out. John Andretti will be your race leader still, and looking down the rest of the top 5, it'll go Marlin, Gordon, Johnson, and Stewart in the top 5, as Truex, Bliss, McMurray, Elder, and Todd Bodine, the top 10. Coming back to this restart here, as we are just at halfway. It'll be start of lap number 76. 75 completed, 75 to go at the line, as the 21 will lead the field to the green here. And we are back underway here from Bristol. Great start by Andretti.
Horrid restart by the 22 there.
44 and 21 jumped away from him. Looking back through the field, and I believe the caution came back out. Yes, it did. Whoa! My goodness, Bobby Labonte on top of the pit wall.
Okay.
Wow. Bad day gone worse for the 18 car, and Bobby Labonte with a hard wreck. Gonna need to see what happened here. Looking like it was right off the start. Yeah, Matt Kenseth kind of trying to find an opening here and went up the racetrack to block the 5, hit the wall. Bobby Labonte did a bit of a thing that we're gonna call that not canon. So hard hit for the 18 who's in the inside wall, and that brings out a quick second yellow. Unsurprising revelation there. A couple of hard-hitting contenders taken out. 5 was in it, 38 was in that wreck, 17 obviously as well. And get a look back. Just jeez. But 5 involved in it, as it was Ricky Hendrick who went around there off the outside wall, got turned around by the 38. Yeah, hard hits there. 23 caught a tiny piece. 12 was right behind it as well. I don't think he hit that wreck, but was very close to it. So that brings out another caution. Couple cars down pit road for repairs. Lucky dog 28 of Mark Martin. So with that, gonna be right back here once again with John Andretti still in the lead after that restart crash. Back from intermission here at Bristol as we get back ready to go again. See if we can get it clean this time. John Andretti in the 21, still your leader, and the top 5 stays exactly the same. It's Marlin, Gordon, Johnson, and Stewart. Coming back to the restart here. Mark Martin, your last lucky dog, as we take this next restart. Pace car peels off. Lap number 82 at the line, and we are back green once again, 21 and 44. Lap car Vickers jump away from that second place car, Sterling Marlin on the start. And we got another spinner. It's Leffler and Hornaday Jr. this time, as well as the 5 and 26. Ricky Hendrick involved in another one. And we're right back under caution.
John Andretti's loving this.
Get a look back at this one. Seems like this one started a little further up. We had 2 separate incidents, as a matter of fact. 07, Ryan McGlynn getting into the back of the 26 after Scott Riggs ran it in the wall. And the 78 of Hornaday Jr. up and into the fence as he was trying to get around these guys who were going 3 wide. Threw himself in the wall, 00 involved in it. And then the 26 sliding back up into traffic, and it's not really anywhere for the 5 of Ricky Hendrick to go. Probably couldn't see through all that smoke, and right into the 26 car, so that'll probably be the end of his day. as well as many others.
Driving in too aggressive on the restarts.
Definitely. Lucky Dog will be the 478 of Hornaday Jr. involved in that incident, so Hank Parker Jr. will get the Lucky Dog here. We'll take you back to intermission once again. John Andretti, your race leader. Back from intermission here again at Bristol as we get to set to take another restart here with Andretti in front and the top 5 remaining pretty much unchanged, although it's Jeff Gordon in second place this time, Marlin third, Johnson fourth, and Stewart fifth. Set to go for a third attempt here as Andretti leading the field to the restart here. Lap number 88 at the line for the 21 car, who's now got 2 lap cars between him and the 24, and we are at green again. Great start by the 21.
That's one thing John Andretti is going to love, having 2 lap cars in between. One thing he's going to hate is having Jeff Gordon behind those lap cars.
Field clean in the back. 6 of John Wood went down pit road there, but everybody kept it clean on the first lap anyway. Coming back around as we are racing for good this time. Here's Marlin to try to take second again. Brian Vickers getting around the 78. Kind of irrelevant, the 44 down 2 laps. That's why he hasn't gotten the lucky dog yet. But he moves past him. 21 of Andretti is gone right now. Six car rejoining the racetrack here, right in front of these lap cars as he forces Hornaday up the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson filtered up to the top lane. Here is Stewart on the bottom. And Mike Bliss to try to follow through in the 81, although he might not be able to get underneath the 48. Nope, Johnson stays high. That leaves the opportunity open. Christian Elder coming up on these guys as well. Johnson cuts in front of the 81. Aggressive move, but a necessary move to hold on to the top 5. Made it work. Jeff Gordon still trapped on the outside.
This is that you do not want to be trapped on the top line, and when they restart, just maybe give up the spot, drop back in, don't lose it anymore if you have to.
Absolutely, trying to cut and give and take really is the nature of this race. Andretti still way out front. He's got a 2.5 second lead. That's to second place Sterling Marlin, although Tony Stewart, that 42 car, is flying at the moment. Trying to get around Marlin in the 22 for the second spot right now. And he's got Jimmy Johnson up his rear, who's going to try and re-overtake him for third. And that allows the 22 to pull away from those guys as they battle side by side for this spot. Tony Stewart hanging tight on the outside, trying to fight the 48 for this spot. Pulling Mike Bliss into this battle. Johnson does finally get clear. Todd Bodine, another great Bristol race for him. He runs in 6th. Just behind him is Christian Elder in the 0 car in 7th. Just on the back bumper, almost turned him around, but gave him enough slack to not get into the back of the 77 car. Truex Jr., the rookie, in 8th. Battle for 9th is between Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch, who now drops into 10th. Elliott Sadler just behind those cars, and the 6 car blowing up. And that is going to bring out another caution. Yellow flag will fly once more. And everybody gonna stack up again. With the 6 of Wood laying down smoke on this racetrack. Lucky Dog is gonna belong to the 78. And he will get the free pass here as we are now inside the final 50 laps from Bristol. 21 car, still your race leader. And John Wood, that will be the end of his race as he pulls it down pit road to retire the race car. So take you to intermission once again here from Bristol. Andretti comfortably up front. Be right back here once again from the Food City 500. Back from intermission here at Bristol as we get set to get another restart here. It will be 44 laps to go as we take the green flag here. Your top 5, Andretti, still leading this race. He's led a lot of it. Sterling Marlin in the 22 will be second. Third belongs to Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Mike Bliss up to 4th. And Todd Bodine in the 77 in 5th. Coming back to the restart here. Pace car going to peel off. Andretti trying to get another good start here. And we are back green, and once again, 21-44 pull away. That 22 just not really getting off too well on these restarts.
Just doesn't have a lot of low-end acceleration on that thing.
And definitely not trying to find the power and just doesn't really have a whole lot of it. They wrecked. Gonna get a look back at this. Might be worthy of a caution. 23 car around into the inside wall. Yeah, it was the 30 of Atwood that got the fence that time and into the 23, so that is going to result in another caution. With another accident on the restart. Marlin just about holds on to that second position, and we're under caution once again. Lucky Dog this time will be the 2 of Regan Smith. So, be right back here once again from Bristol. Back from intermission here at Bristol once again as we get set to roll here for another restart. Andretti still leading. Marlin still second. Johnson still third. Fourth belonging to Bliss. And fifth, Todd Bodine. As we are all set to roll for another restart. Pace car peeling in. 21 to lead the field here as we hit the stripe, and we are back green again.
Another not great restart from the 22.
Just think that 22's got his gearing set a little long to try to avoid wheel spin, which isn't a terrible strategy, and he hasn't lost any positions on the start because of it, but kind of just bogs down a little bit compared to the leader and Brian Vickers, who's running right behind him. And Matt Kenseth has now crashed, and we will be under caution again. Ooh, a hard wreck there, and that one involving the 78, who was waved around just a couple of restarts ago. So yeah, 17 up and into the wall this time. Everybody just getting the wall on these restarts. And it was a hard hit for Kenseth, who goes into the inside wall, so we're under caution again. Jimmy Johnson lost a spot on that one. Actually, no, he did not. Excuse me, Mike Bliss did not make that pass. It was just in front of him under pacing. Elder made up a spot, though. The zero car into fifth, ahead of Todd Bodine, who now runs sixth. And the lucky dog will be, I believe, the 51 this time.
Not a whole lot of racing going on at this point.
Definitely not. Bring it to intermission once again. Still the 21 in first. Back here again at Bristol. It'll be 30 laps to go this time. A lot of cautions in the middle portion of this race, just trying to get back under green. The only restart that we did get going, we had a mechanical problem, and which John Wood blew up in the 6. It'll be 21, 22, 48, 81, and 0, your top 5. Coming back to the restart here with 30 laps to go in this race, and we are green once again. Keep an eye on the back end of the field this time. 30 got the wall, 4 got around him, and looks like everybody got through turn 4 that time. So we're going to have a bit of racing action this time. 22 didn't get away too terrible, and found his speed on the start there. And the 4 car went into the pits, 78 did as well, and the 78 is going to retire from the race with a lot of damage on that race car. So John Andretti in the lead of this thing, but not too much of a gap this time. 44 of Vickers is trying to fight for a lap back as he ducks underneath. Jimmy Johnson fighting with the 22 for second place.
See how
Andretti
good of a
clear.
teammate the 44 is going to be.
That really did help out Johnson a lot, and he is going to have a shot to get underneath for the lead. Side by side for first. Andretti trying to hold on to this lead. He's held for such a long portion in this race. Jimmy Johnson on the bottom. Here comes Mike Bliss to take second. And Jimmy Johnson has taken the lead. Parker Jr. rejoining the racetrack in front of the 48.
I mean, I can't see how Jimmy Johnson manages to lose this race. He's got 2 friendly lappers in front of him.
We will definitely see. He's got Mike Bliss to hold off now, who runs in second. I do not believe Mike Bliss has ever won a cup race. '81 doing everything he can to try to close up on this race lead. This race continuing to wind down as we approach 20 laps to go. The 81 up the hill, kept it out of the wall. As this race winds down, it is heartbreak for Andretti if he can't get back to this lead. He led so many laps there, had such a gap. The one restart, everybody got away clean, and then the 6 blew up and just could not hold off the traffic, especially with Vickers giving his teammate a helping hand, and just gave the lead to the 48. And Johnson absolutely thanking his lucky stars he had the 44 to give that to him there. And Mike Bliss is really not having the speed to try to catch up as he goes up the track again. Might get the wall here. He does! Into the 21! They crash on the backstretch, and the caution comes back out. No, no, no! And Andretti's magical day coming to an end as they crash again on the outside. The 57 into the wall. Oh my goodness. Wow, and the caution flag comes back out. Andretti trying to get back on the track. 57 having to avoid the 21, stopped on the inside, gets turned into the outside wall. That's the second part of the crash, and the first one. Mike Bliss into the wall in front of the 21 car. And John Andretti, who led by far the most laps today, his magical run comes to a close in the inside wall. Unbelievable. Exactly the way you didn't want it to end. Scott Wimmer will be the lucky dog in the 23 car. Todd Bodine in the 77 inherits the second spot on the racetrack. As Wimmer will be waved around here. We will take you back to intermission after that heartbreaking accident with 20 laps to go here from Bristol. Back from intermission here at Bristol. It'll be 14 laps to go on the restart. Jimmy Johnson leading this race, looking to win 3 of 5 to open this thing up, and back-to-back wins here at Bristol. Todd Bodine, ever the fast race car at Bristol, he starts second. It's Harvick, Bliss, and Busch, your top 5. Coming back to the restart, and the 48 off and away as we get back going here. Not a bad start from the 77, but the leader always getting the jump at this place, and he pulls off just that little bit. Still clean in the back for the moment. 3 wide with the 01 on the top at the very back of the field. Bodine trying to close the gap on the 48 for that race lead. Johnson trying to pull away. Approaching the final 10 laps. Harvick right on the back bumper of the 77, who slips up the racetrack just a little bit. Brushed the wall. Keeps the 20 behind him.
Looks like the race is for second, though.
48 car pulling away. Ten laps to go at the line for Jimmy Johnson, who is comfortably in the lead of this race late. Todd Bodine's got 2 Gibbs cars right behind him, nipping at his ankles, trying to get a shot at catching that 48 car at the end of this race. '77 up the track again. 20 looks low, couldn't get underneath him. Eight laps to go now. Johnson's lead widening further. Just got to run clean laps if you're that 48 car and keep it out of the wall. Bliss dropping off as Tony Stewart moves into 4th in the 42. Bodine pulling away from the 20 a little bit. Trying to do what he can to catch the 48, but Johnson's still pulling away a little bit. A couple of tenths slow that lap. Bodine up the track just a smidge. Still kept it out of the wall, coming to 5 laps to go.
Looks like Bodine is running about a half lane higher than everyone else, and
He's really just trying to find that pace. He's got such a gap to Johnson so late. He's got to run perfect lines if he wants any sort of shot, and he probably still needs a mistake out of the 48 if he's going to get this win. Johnson really just has to cruise, and he's doing so right now. Just a couple thousandths of a second faster that last time in Bodine up the track again. I just think he's overdriving that thing.
Can't even blame him.
Cannot.
You have to make that. You have to make that gap. But they both seem to have overdrove that lap.
Coming to 2 laps to go here. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, who has just lapped the field over and over again at the start of this year. Coming off of injury, people weren't even sure how quick he was going to be coming back and if he could recover. But over 20 weeks out of the race weekends that he missed, he has not skipped a single beat coming back into that Lowe's 48. White flag for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, comfortably out front of the 77 of Todd Bodine. It was a magical day for the 21 that came up short, but it's a magical start to the season for this 48. Jimmy Johnson, 3 of 5. He wins it here at Bristol. Back-to-back victories for him. The checkered flag here tonight as he wins it over the 77 of Todd Bodine, who comes up just short in second place. The 21 of John Andretti, who dominated this race, so 27th. Or maybe 26th? No, 27th after such a long time leading this race.
Okay. Evidently, McGlynn was not too happy with the 51 there.
Heartbreak for the 21 of John Andretti, who comes up so far out of reach of that win that he thought he had on lock here today. But Jimmy Johnson dominates en route to victory at the late end of the stage anyway. And he wins his 3rd race in just 5 events and back-to-back races here at Bristol to take home yet another checkered flag. Just had the right car at the right time, you have to imagine. But that'll do it for coverage here from Bristol with Jimmy Johnson collecting yet another win. I believe that is his 21st career victory. And we will catch you next time. Next week, we head across the pond. We'll be out in the Pacific for, it'll be Calder Park and Oran Park back-to-back. A couple of Aussie races up next on the schedule. New tracks yet to be seen. We'll see you then. It's been fun every step of the way. And on behalf of Braden and Cap in the booth tonight, we'll catch you then. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.